So the Nintendo Switch 2 was revealed just a few days ago, and ever since then people have been analyzing and dissecting the first look trailer for it, including myself to some extent. But in this video I wanted to talk about something that I actually, funny enough, never mentioned once in my analysis video, and that is the potential for mouse capabilities. Now this is really exciting to me. This idea in general is very exciting to me. And ever since there were rumors about it circulating regarding the IR sensor underneath the Joy-Con, or not underneath, but like on the side of it that connects to the console, there's like a little part of that section that seems to function like the way a sensor works for a mouse. So that led people to believe that it was going to have some kind of mouse capabilities, and they were going to be used kind of like computer mice, so to speak. So that was basically confirmed in this current trailer. Like, what we're seeing here is literally Nintendo just being like, giving us a bit of a hint that yes, the Joy-Cons can and will be used as mice. And you can see it in the trailer just how they intend, like how you're intended to use it. You're going to slide on, or I guess attach an attachment, I guess. And then you're going to be able to use that as, I guess, kind of a pad. So when you're moving the Joy-Con around a certain surface, that kind of acts as like a pad for it, because you don't want to be scratching your Joy-Con on the surface. That's another thing that I was thinking about too when I saw these rumors. I'm like, are we just going to be able to slide our Joy-Cons on any surface, and that's going to potentially scratch or damage the surface of the Joy-Con, right? Mice are designed in a way where like it doesn't really matter because you don't see the bottom of the mouse that often. So, and not to mention they're on mouse pads, but still, I can't imagine just using the Joy-Con and sliding it around on any surface and then just having it be okay. I would prefer to have something that you can attach to it to kind of protect it, I guess, from it. And looks like from the trailer, Nintendo has solved that issue for us. So that was one of my first worries. But when I saw this idea come to life in the trailer, in the first look trailer, it immediately got my mind running, and I was like, no, the possibilities for this are crazy. And that's why I wanted to make this video, is because I do genuinely believe that this has the absolute capability and potential to revolutionize gaming once again. And we know that from previous Nintendo consoles, Nintendo has always strived to innovate, and this is the first console where Nintendo is actually taking a more straightforward and conservative approach to the design of their next generation console. This is not something that's going that, at least from what we're seeing right now, that has a deep gimmick to it or anything like that. It's nothing, we're not seeing anything quite like that. It really is just a Switch, but more powerful and refined. It is essentially the previous generation, but more powerful and, as they're probably going to advertise, better. So again, think of PlayStation and all of what they do. PlayStation 2 is essentially a more powerful and better version of PlayStation 1, and so on, and so on, and so on. So that's kind of the idea that Nintendo seems to be taking at this point, and I'm in agreement that I think it is the best possible direction they could go with for now. I know people want to see them strive for more innovation within the design of their console, but personally, I think that this is the right approach. I think it's a smart approach. It's one of the smartest business decisions they've made in a while, in my opinion, when it comes to making and releasing a new console. I think this is really smart, and so it doesn't bother me that there's less innovation in that regard. But it doesn't mean there's no innovation in general, because like I said, I think that the mouse capabilities have so much potential and so much promise for not just innovation. It already is an innovative idea in and of itself, but I think it could potentially change the way we see gaming consoles. I think this has the potential to change the way people play, but not only that, but I think looking at other features of gaming consoles where mouse controls would be beneficial and would make it difficult to go back to past methods, that's really where this kicks off, in my opinion. So I wanted to start with something a little bit more obvious. Let's start with the gaming possibilities, right? First and foremost, when you think about mouse controls for games, you think of games like first-person shooters, right? Usually first-person shooters, people love playing them on PC. There's a reason why a lot of competitive first-person shooter players tend to play on PC over console because mouse controls, pointer controls, tend to be a bit more precise and accurate compared to using an analog stick. So that's obviously the first thing, and of course as a Metroid fan, one of the games that comes to mind for this is of course Metroid Prime 4. Is Metroid Prime 4 going to use these type of controls? Would it be one of the options? Because I would try it. I would be willing to try it. It feels and sounds weird at first, because I'm trying to imagine what it would actually be like, but if it's anything like the Wii controls, it wouldn't take too long, personally, to get used to something like that. I would be willing to give it a shot. Of course, games like that come to mind, even games like Mario Maker and stuff like that. Those kind of games, I think, would absolutely benefit from this functionality, because it would be so easy to drag and drop individual tiles and individual gaming elements into your editor because you're essentially using a mouse. So it's going to make things like that much, much easier. And you also have other games like Mario Paint and even simulation video games like Cities Skylines or Civilization, games that essentially, when you think of these type of games, the first platform you're probably going to think of playing them on is PC. If you can think of games like that, like The Sims and all of that, those are the games that I think are going to benefit the most from this functionality. And immediately it's going to open up more people into wanting to play these games on console. That's what I think. So another aspect that I wanted to talk about was the possibilities for social features and social media. Now, previously, not with the Switch, but if we look back to the Wii and the Wii U, Nintendo introduced internet browsers, right? If you remember, the Wii U had a pretty decent internet browser, all things considered. And when I think about the mouse controls for the Nintendo Switch 2, one of the first things I think about is an internet browser. Are we going to see the return of an internet browser to a Nintendo console? Because we haven't had one since the Wii U. Switch was really the only generation that skipped it ever since it was introduced with the Wii. But nonetheless, we haven't had one for an entire generation. And so are we possibly going to get an internet browser reintroduced to us? Another possibility is Miiverse. What if we get a new version of Miiverse? And now we're able to use mouse controls to navigate and maneuver Miiverse. Not that it was ever really an issue, especially with the Wii U. The touchscreen kind of made things easier. You could say it made it easier than using a mouse. But the thing about the Wii U is that, well, the main controller had a screen on it. The Switch does not. If you wanted to use the mouse controls, say, in docked mode, which again, it's a bit of a weird concept because you would probably have the console sitting across from you in the TV, right? And then maybe you're just sitting on the sofa and there's nothing around for you to put the Joy-Con mouse on. But I guess that's a separate video entirely. But the point is, going back to Mario Maker 2, not having the Wii U gamepad undeniably made that game tougher to play and tougher to create levels. Undeniably. Yes, pulling it out of the dock and using the touchscreen worked, but you would have to do that to make levels. You can't just make levels on your TV. You would have to take it out of the console if you wanted the best way to lay out your levels. Nintendo did the best they could do with the controls and with all of that, but it was still not the same as using the Wii U gamepad. There's no denying that. So when we go back to the Miiverse situation, what if we're able to use Miiverse the same way we use other social media platforms like Facebook or Twitter or X? What if we could treat Miiverse the same way as we treat other social media platforms in terms of the way we interact with it? That's a possibility. What if we can interact with the main menu using the mouse controls? What if we can interact with any facet of this new console using these controls? That would be another way to use this device. Again, Nintendo's not a stranger to giving us multiple ways of controlling not just their games, but also the console itself. Like, even with the Wii U, you could use the Wii remotes and all of the last generation controllers to interact with the Wii U. One other thing, for some reason I keep having this thought in my head of people playing the Switch in handheld mode, kind of in its tablet form, and holding one Joy-Con in one hand and the other Joy-Con as a mouse. So they're kind of dragging it along the surface and treating it like a mouse while they're using the other Joy-Con in their other hand for other purposes, like maybe moving like part of the menu or doing something else. I have that image in my head and I'm like, I could totally see that. I could totally see people doing that. Even playing video games, like playing Metroid Prime 4, for example, I could easily see someone holding one Joy-Con, whatever their dominant hand is, they're holding it and they're using it as a mouse, and then the other Joy-Con, they're using it to advance Samus. I think that's pretty awesome. I think we may just see a shift in how people play games. They might start playing console games like they play PC games. I mean, I don't see it out of the realm of possibility at this point, considering this really does introduce that idea and that concept to console gaming. What if you can play console games, but with the controls of a PC, with mouse controls? It's not like we haven't gotten console games that were able to be played with a keyboard, right? There are keyboard accessories and attachments, and I'm sure somewhere out there were mouse attachments for consoles. But to have the actual main controller of the console function as a mouse is, I think, genius. Hey everyone, this is Robbie from the future, coming back at you from the editing room. I just learned that the Lenovo Legion Go, what a name, oh my god, is actually a handheld PC that has this functionality enabled. So you can use the right stick, or I can't call it a Joy-Con, so I have no idea what the hell to call it, but you take the right stick of this device, and you can actually use it as a mouse. So it's called FPS mode, and you can basically like use it as a mouse, as kind of a vertical mouse of sorts. It looks a little bit awkward when you take a look at the video here. It looks a little bit awkward. It doesn't look that comfortable, to be honest. So I'm not really sure what to make of it, but apparently there's a mode called FPS mode, and you can use this as a mouse. So I just wanted to point that out real quick in this video, that it does exist. The Switch isn't the first system that's going to be doing this, but one would hope it's the first one that's going to truly get it right. And also I wanted to mention that the Lenovo Legion Go is a handheld PC. It is not a dedicated video game console. As such, it's already marketed as a PC of sorts. And mice aren't actually new to PCs, and therefore it really isn't shocking that it's included as a feature. There's also the fact that these devices simply aren't mainstream enough, so this is not a device that has the capability to bring this idea into the mainstream and have people be like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. And many have also felt that the feature is a little half-baked or borderline a gimmick, meaning regardless of what you think, Nintendo does have the genuine shot at actually getting this right and having it be an important part of the Switch 2 identity, really. So what I'm trying to say is what I presented in this video still applies. This is a PC-derived feature being implemented for the first time and used for the main controllers of a video game console, a dedicated video game console. So that's all I have for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm just really excited for this console. I'm really excited for the possibilities that it'll introduce, and I can't wait. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.